Everyone, welcome back to Anu's classroom. So this video also we are continuing our discussion on the previous questions and important questions in MMPC 1. Okay, so I had uploaded one more video before this. This is the part 2 where we are continuing with our discussion. So whatever questions or similar questions I have already discussed in part 1, we will not be touching again in part 2 even if they come up. Okay, so this is a compilation of around 5 to 6 years of previous question papers, and we are discussing those questions. So in case you haven't checked that out, or if there is any reference to any earlier discussions, I will leave a link to the video in this part 2. Okay, I leave a link of part 1 in this video. Go and check it. Okay, because time is very much of a constraint, I'm doing this. I don't want to repeat and waste anybody's time. Okay, so let's get started. So the first question we are going to discuss in this video is about the advantages and disadvantages of group and individual decision making. And the question is also asking for their importance in organizations and discussions on how we can overcome barriers to effective decision making. So, what is decision making? What are the barriers to effective decision making? All, and why is decision making important for an organization? We had already discussed in the last video in another question. So, in this video, I will touch upon what is the difference between group and individual different decision making only. Okay. So, if it is a group decision making, what are some of the advantages you can think of? Definitely, if it is a group, it involves many people, so we will get many views and approaches, and therefore it could lead to a better decision, right? Because we have a much more visibility, we have much more brains working to solve a single problem, right? So and also one more thing is that if it is a group and if there are a lot of members, then we should make sure that the interest of all members are taken into consideration. Otherwise it could lead to problems within the group, right? But at the same time, if it is individual, then what could happen is that it is very fast, right? It's just the one person who is going to take decision, so it is very fast, and there is high accountability also. Why? Because it is this one person who took the decision, so whatever the good or whatever the bad, pin it on that person, right? Because he is the one who took decision, so very high accountability comes into picture. And because it is just depending on that one particular individual, we can save a lot of time, money, and energy also. So but in case of group, what happens is that it is slow, right? Because it is a lot of people there, we have to take up we have to discuss with all these people, and this group has to come into a consensus. It is slow, so that is a disadvantage, right? When individual decision making, it was fast and that was an advantage, but group, it is slow and therefore it is a disadvantage of group decision making. Same way, less accountability, because it is the whole group who took the decision, it is not one individual, so you cannot pinpoint that this is the person responsible for any mishaps, or this is the person responsible for any what you can say, any good things also. Okay, so there is less accountability. It takes a lot of time, money, and energy to get decisions done from a group, right? So you can think of it as like whatever is the advantage of individual decision making, the opposite of it is a disadvantage of group decision making, right? uh, and what about the disadvantages of individual decision making? First and foremost, if it is a group, we have more brains than one working for solving a problem, but the opposite is true for individual decision making. So what happens? It is just the individual, he may not be able to collect all the information, he or she, right? They may not be able to collect all information, so it is a disadvantage. It is solely reliant on that individual's competence and comprehension, which is a disadvantage. And therefore the interest of all people who may get affected by that decision may not be considered. That is a disadvantage. So the group and individual decision making, whatever the advantages of one becomes the opposite of that, becomes the disadvantage of another, and whatever is, so it works as a complementary thing. Okay, so that way you can think and you can write the answer if this question comes up. The next question is, discuss the importance of delegation and describe the prerequisites for effective delegation. Again, this question is a repeated one. Even in the first part of the video also, we saw that this question about delegation had come and we had discussed the answer there. I am skipping to the next question. Okay. Describe the factors which influence the choice of structure in an organization. And it is asking us to discuss on any two types of organizational structure along with their merits and demerits, giving example. So giving example to all your answers is very important, even if it is not specifically stated to give you give examples. I suggest you write examples for all questions. Okay, along with all questions answers, you write examples. It serves two purpose. It serves one, it helps the invigilator understand that you know the concept well. Two, it is 20 marks per question. The essay question, each question carries 20 marks. So you need to have those many pages also written, right? You'll only be given one booklet. Don't waste your pages, please. You'll only be given one booklet. Don't waste your pages. But at the same time, make sure that you divide the number of pages equally amongst your answers and fill them up with ample data. Examples will help you fill the pages up. Okay, so coming to our answer. Factors influencing choice of organizational structure. What could be strategy, the technology, people, environment, managerial perceptions, the size of the organization, whether it is an informal organization or a formal, the informal organization within the formal organization, the tasks at hand, all these things will affect the choice of organizational structure. Like for example, if you are forming a fan club, or if you're forming maybe let's say NSS or something like that. NSS is Nair Seva Society. It is something in Kerala, okay? Suddenly that came into my mind. That's why I said NSS. It is a much more formal organization, okay? Or let's think of BCCI, okay? BCCI, it is a formal organization. The size of it, the reason, the purpose for it, okay? All these things what affect how the organizational structure is formed, okay? So what are the different types of organizational structure? So some of the different, what you can say, the types of organizational structure are like based on the differentiation of tasks and activities. Like say for example, um, by function or by product, by location or types of customers, and then there could be based on the degree of decentralization, like your organizational structure could be very much centralized or maybe decentralized, or maybe it could have a delegation type of structure. But mainly when we say, so those are kind of like a traditional method of differentiating the different organizational structures. But you can when it is asked to discuss on any two types of organizational structures, we can better describe the two modern types of organizational structure. The first one is the matrix structure and the second is the network structure. Okay, so what is the matrix structure and what is a network? So think of it like this. Okay, let us say we have a housing project or maybe even our metro rail project. Okay, our metro project. Okay, so what happens over there? Okay, we need the metro rails infrastructure in place, right? So civil is important. Then the rail itself, how we can function, the electricity, how we will power it, the what would be the capacity of that rail, how fast it can go, what model of rail should we use, and any potential for upgradation, we should we include that or not. So a lot of things, a lot many different people will come together working towards achieving a what you can say, a magnanimous project like a metro rail project, correct? So even though we say E. Sridharan is the metro man, he is the one who spearheaded the metro rail process. Still, he is an engineer by profession. He is a civil engineer, right? He works for the Indian government. He is responsible for that. So even though he headed it, it is not him, only him that completed the project, right? A lot of others, a lot of different departments, lot many people, all of them came together to complete that project, but he was the one who headed it, right? So what happens? There is a combination of the product and functional organization, right? And this kind of a structure comes up when the project requires very much of skilled services. Okay, so we need the skilled services of the functional man as well as the specialized knowledge of a product man, right? So multiple specialized fields will come together and join and then work to achieve the product or the project, right? So this kind of a structure is what a matrix structure is. So though we say it is E. Sridharan, but in the headlines, there will definitely be multiple authorities that handle multiple departments which will come together and finish the project. So that is the matrix structure. You can think of the metro rail or any large housing projects. There also, we will have civil engineers who design the structure. We will have mechanical engineers who would be dealing with all the mechanical things inside it. We will have electrical engineers who will plan on all the electrical pipelines and everything. Okay, an EPC project like a petroleum extraction project or a petroleum extraction distillery project, there will be mechanical electrical, electronics, instrumentation, chemical, all these departments will come up. And then every individual department will have their own heads who will make sure that their part is done properly. And then all these people will be coordinating and reporting to a central head, right? And that is how the project completes. So that is a matrix structure. I hope you understood this. The next is the network structure. So that comes when one organization needs to control another organization or agencies whose participation is also essential to the success. So that will give rise to a network structure. An example, let me think. Maybe like the Kaveri Calling project and all, which was done by Isha Foundation. So though it is the Isha Foundation who took the initiative, multiple NGOs, a lot of government organizations, governmental departments, and then Isha Foundation, a lot of different organizations or different organizations, let's say organizations itself, came together, worked in coordination to get that done, right? So that is a network structure. Okay, so the difference is that in this network structure, there are multiple different organizations who come together and participate to make an event a success. Whereas in the matrix structure, we had different departments, okay, different specialists or different specialists coming together and working together to get it done. So that is the fine differentiation between this matrix structure and network structure. I hope you understood this part. Okay, so yeah, then definitely you can give any of these examples which we discussed right now, or any example of your own choice. Okay, let us move on to the next question. Briefly discuss the channels of communication in an organization and explain how communication can be made effective in an organization. So this question's answer, you can very well, what you can say, borrow it from your MMPC 7. You can understand, you can write down whatever you understand by the different channels of communication that could be present in an organization, and how we can make communication effective in the organization. Like what are the barriers to organizational communication and how to overcome them. In this question, even though it has come in MMPC 1, you can write whatever you have learned from MMPC 7. Okay. Again, write short notes on any three following. We will discuss all five. Okay, so the first is brainstorming. What is brainstorming? Right, it is a relaxed informal approach to problem solving. How we brainstorm? When we say we brainstorm, what do we mean by that? We are racking our brains to find all the different possible ideas or approaches through which we can actually do this or tackle a particular problem, right? So it is kind of like developing a high order thinking skill. And you can go ahead and write what are the different types of brainstorming. Like there is reverse brainstorming, where we try to reach the start from the end, right? Like if we have a matrix, a puzzle like this, and here we have the destination and here we have the source, we usually go like this and then finally reach here, right? That is the same thing, reverse brainstorming. Stop and go, where it is kind of like a solution evaluation combined. Then another method of brainstorming is called the Phillips 66. So this Phillips 66, I'll write it down. Okay, Phillips 66. So in this, what they are saying is that 6 people will brainstorm ideas for 6 minutes, okay, individually. 6 people, 6 minutes, and then they'll sit together and discuss. So that is Phillips 66 type of brainstorming. Then we have brain writing, where individuals brainstorm, and then whatever they have, whatever ideas they get, they will document it. And once they document it, that document will be shared with the group, and then they will all discuss. Okay, so that is brainstorming. Then the next is process of planning. So what are the processes of planning? First, we need to set our goals. Then we need to gather the data. Then we need to analyze it. Then we need to create a plan. Then we have to implement the plan, right? Then we have to monitor the plan. And then if there is any deviations or if that is done, again, we will go back to set the goal, new goal. We'll gather the new data. So that is the process of planning. You can draw this what you can say, you can draw this diagram and you can explain each of the steps. Nothing new here. Next is managerial ethos. So what do you understand by managerial ethos? What is ethos? Ethos is characteristic spirit of culture. Okay, it is a spirit of culture, or you can say era or community or organization, anything. The spirit of it, that is ethos. So what is managerial ethos? The character and values of the managers as a professional group. So it is like if you think of a manager or management as a group of very different people belonging to, like, say a particular class of people, you can think of. Okay, so what are the characteristics or values that that make them stand apart, okay, as a professional group of people. That is managerial ethos. Again, Johari window we had discussed earlier. Management information system. Okay, this is an important topic. In case you have not gone through it, I suggest you go through this. What is management information system? Okay, it could be an important topic, just like management by objectives, which we said in the last class. Management information system is also important. So what is management information system? It is an information system which can be used for decision making, okay, and for the coordination or control, analysis and visualization of information in an organization. Okay, it involves the study of people and processes and technology in an organizational context. Okay, so the importance of management by information system is that it helps the company become more and more competitive. Okay, and the components include the people, the business, the process, the data, the hardware, the software, everything. Okay, so what is the role of a manager in this management information system is that the manager is responsible for the planning and implementation of hardware and software applications at the enterprise or the desktop level. Okay, we have different types of management information system. I will call it as MIS for short. Okay, like process control, management reporting system, inventory control, sales and marketing, human resource, accounting, finance, decision support, expert system, executive information system, transaction process system, local database. All these things are the different types of MIS. Some of the advantages we can say is that it provides inclusive picture of organization, enhances operational productivity, it reports to improve organizational methods and operations, it can assist in communication and planning, it will add value to existing product, it can serve as a motivating factor, it will help achieve a competitive advantage for the entire business organization itself, it will help in better planning, effective marketing and promotional strategies. Okay, I'm really sorry, since the topic is quite vast, and if I were to sit and create PPTs on these, it would take a long time and I would not have been able to give this knowledge to you in time. That's why I did not create a detailed PPT on any of these answers. So in case you want to note something down, please, note it down yourself. I'm really sorry. Anyways, let's move ahead. Okay, again, it is a question on management by business objectives. Explain the need for MBO in an organization and the process involved in it. And they're asking to briefly discuss the benefits of having MBO in an organization. So MBO we had discussed in the first part. Please check that video. Okay, we'll go to the next question. Briefly describe the antecedents of organizational change and the strategies to cope with change. Okay. So, antecedents, if this is a new word to you, what is the meaning of antecedents? Antecedents means nothing but like precursor. Okay, they are asking us to describe about the precursors, or you can say the ancestors, okay, of organizational change, and how can you cope with these changes. Okay, so what are the precursors of organizational change? Okay, so change is inevitable, right? Change is all pervasive, change is inevitable, change will happen. So what leads to these changes, okay, in an organization? Changes in the external or internal environment could lead to an organizational change. New personnel, okay, maybe new board of directors or a new CEO being appointed, maybe a new CHO being appointed, all these things, CFO being appointed, new personnel coming into the organization in crucial or high managerial, top level managerial positions could result in an organizational change in the strategy or goals, or the growth or the decay of an organization, right? All these things could lead to organization change. So what we should understand is that organizational change can be brought about by anyone, or a combination of structural factors, technology, people, or tasks. And these factors are interrelated as well as interdependent. And a change in any one procedure or any one task or goal or anything like that can produce alterations in one or more of the other work environment factors. Now, a few of the strategies for coping with organizational change could be like, if we are having a decay, maybe we can think of downsizing, or maybe reinventing or reorganizing. Maybe we can try a merger or acquiring new things, or try joint venturing, or maybe relocating, restructuring. All these things we can try to cope with these changes. Okay, the next question is briefly discuss the factors influencing choice of organizational structure and describe any two structures and their advantages and disadvantages. So this is again a repeating question. We had already discussed about the organizational structure and the choice and the two types of organizational structures. So we are not going again into it. Let us move on. Okay, so the next question is discuss the determinants of interpersonal behavior and briefly explain how to develop interpersonal skills. Again, you can borrow the answer from MMPC 7 business communication, no issues. Okay, short notes on 3. Barriers to effective communication, MMPC 7 again. Gamesman model of decision making. Okay, we'll look at what is Gamesman model of decision making. So there are many different types of managerial decisions like personal and organizational, basic or routine decisions, then mechanistic decisions or analytic decisions, judgmental, adaptive, all those things. And depending upon whether we are making decisions under uncertainty or risk or even certainty, all these things, the decision making changes, right? So people will select the decision or course of action that has the greatest advantage or payoff from among the many alternatives, right? And it is also assumed that they go about this in what you can say a planned or orderly or logical fashion, we can say. Okay, so when we are thinking about how people take decisions, we assume two things. First, people are economically rational, and second, that people attempt to maximize the outcomes in an orderly or a sequential process. Okay, so these are coming under econological model, that is the economic man model, correct? Now it is not always that people will select it is not always that people think economically rationally, right? Suppose say you are given 50,000 rupees, okay, and you have to buy a phone. How many of us will not, go directly and buy an iPhone 13 for 49,000? I think that's the price right now, right? iPhone 12 or 13, something is selling for 49,000 rupees on Amazon, right? How many of us would do that? Many of us would do that, right? But some of us may actually go and buy some Samsung's model, maybe for 10,000 or 15,000 rupees, or even maybe hardly around 20,000 bucks. We might spend on a mobile phone, and maybe we'll save 30,000. Some people will go for this economic model. That is the second one I told, but some people might not go for an economically rational decision making process, right? So based on all these things, we have different models of decision making, and we are asked over here about the gamesman's model of decision. So this implicit favorite or the gamesman model is for non-programmed decision. Okay, so it is like we have taken a decision. Okay, this entire model is designed to justify to the individual, okay, that is us who has taken the decision through some kind of a you can say scientific process, that whatever we have made, whatever decision we took is a good decision. And by doing so, the individual becomes convinced that he or she is acting in a rational fashion and making a logical decision, okay, logical and reasoned decision on an important topic, right? So in the iPhone case itself, okay, suppose say we are belonging to the group who spend the entire 50,000 to get an iPhone. Now what? Now we have to justify to ourselves and our parents on why choosing the iPhone for this entire 50,000 rupees was a better decision than spending just 20,000 rupees on maybe a Samsung M13 or M31, right? So that we ourselves are satisfied, correct? So that is this gamesman model, right? So it is kind of like a backtracking stuff actually. So there is a small, you can say, you can draw this entire decision making process in a graphical way. So the first will be to set the goal, okay, and then that is in our case buying the phone. Then we will identify the implicit favorite, okay, in our case iPhone. Now we will compare and rank all the alternatives. Okay, that is, we have our iPhone here, Redmi, Oppo, Samsung or Vivo, everything. We have identified all the alternatives. We'll compare them now. See this thing, oh, Oppo, very battery life is not good, or maybe the battery might overheat. Redmi, no. Samsung, who will buy Samsung? And all Android phone, who wants, right? All sorts of reasons will come up on why we have to stick with iPhone, correct? So we'll compare and rank the alternatives, and then we'll identify the confirmation candidate, right? Identify our confirmation candidate. So this whatever I am drawing right now, it is already there in your MMPC textbook, okay? So don't worry. Identify our confirmation candidate. What is it? iPhone. Now establish the decision rule or criteria. Okay. Now, if our confirmation candidate does not justify it, then we will again change the confirmation candidate, or we will again change our rules to get to our required candidate, right? And once we, so this thing will go on a loop, right? Until and unless we arrive at iPhone, we will keep on changing the reasons why we will pick it up, why we should pick up the iPhone instead of some other phone. Okay, and we will keep on changing our different phones. iPhone will remain, but the comparing phone will change, correct? And once we have the justification, we will announce our decision. You will say, yeah, see, now I've decided. After doing all sorts of research, I've now decided that iPhone itself is the best for me, and then I will go and buy it. That is the gamesman model of decision making. I hope you understood it. Okay, so moving on, group cohesiveness. What is group cohesiveness? So what is cohesiveness, or what is group cohesiveness? It is the ability to think and act as one. Think and act as one. Okay. If as if the group is a physically, even if the group is physically together or not. So it is like family. How does the family behave, right? United, like all the 5 fingers of our hand, they work in unison, act as one. So the same way, so it is group cohesiveness is the ability of the group to think and act as one, even if the group is physically together or not. There are 3 components to this group cohesiveness, that is interpersonal attraction, group pride, and task commitment. Now, cohesion grows out of communication, you should understand this, and out of common interest. And when this cohesion grows, it will build a sense of group identity and will create a climate of inclusion for all members. As people who are either going to work in an organization or create an organization of our own, it is very important to promote or help build up this group cohesiveness, because only with group cohesiveness we can achieve. Okay, united we stand, together divided we fall. It is the same thing. We are trying to bring in that unity, that is group cohesiveness. Okay. Now, a few ways to improve group cohesion would be to make smaller groups, increase the time members spend together. And this is the reason why, if you can see or observe people who are working in organizations, you would see that they have team activities like team lunch, team outings, or team dinners, or some kind of a team level activities apart from work, which is regularly conducted. It is to build that relationship, okay, with beyond work, so that you guys are comfortable to work together. Okay, that is the reason why. So that is all methods of improving group cohesion. Giving rewards to the group for achieving things, simulate competition with other groups, and encouraging agreement with group goals. Now, a few factors that could influence this group cohesiveness is the size, the interdependency or the homogeneity, the stability, the location where the group members are located, the status, leadership, external pressure or competition. All these things are factors. Now, a few of the strengths and weaknesses of group cohesiveness include more complete information and knowledge, more output, increased diversity in view, more approaches and alternatives, increased acceptance of solution. All these things are strengths. Okay. Now, a few of the weaknesses could be that it is time consuming, it is a confirmatory pressure. So as the strength grows, or like after a time you feel compelled, sometimes it happens that we all feel compelled to like go with the flow, go with the group, though we may have differences of opinions, we may stop talking about it and just go with everybody's opinion. That is a problem. So it kind of like starts to act as a confirmative pressure. Discussions can be dominated by one or a few members, which would again result in this confirmatory pressure building up. And the responsibility is spread across, so ambiguity is there, right? So that is group cohesiveness. Okay, the next is methods of control. So how what they are asking is about how we can control the organization. Okay, this is managerial so this is MMPC 1, right? Management functions and organizational processes. Okay, so it includes everything starting from creation of the organization, its staffing, everything. Okay, so control could be your budgetary control or standards or financial controls, or staffing controls, anything. Okay, so a few types of controls could be internal audit, budgetary, the standards, financial ratio analysis, break even analysis, okay, or statistical control like pie charts or charts to depict the sales, expense, all those things. Okay, now a few of the methods of control, we can broadly classify them as traditional or modern. The traditional methods of control are through personal observations, break-even analysis, statistical reports, or budgetary control. Modern methods are on the basis of rate of interest, ratio analysis, return of investment, not rate of interest, return of investments, ratio analysis, PERT, CPM, management information system, responsibility accounting, management audit. All these things are modern methods of controlling. Okay. Prerequisites for effective delegation we had already discussed in the previous video. I am not discussing it again. So there are a few more questions with me in MMPC 1. We will discuss the remaining questions in the next video. Okay. So thank you. If you are interested we are planning for all the subjects. Okay. So if you are interested, to let me know. Definitely. Anyways, I'll be uploading. Okay. All the best and study well. I hope you be able to remember all the things that you have learned when you are going to actually write the exam. I'm a Hindu, so I believe for us it is Devi Saraswati who is the goddess of knowledge. Okay, so whatever your belief is, whoever you're praying to, may God help you remember whatever you studied. Okay, and may God assist you in writing your term and examinations very well. Okay, and if you are an atheist who doesn't believe in God, then may your brain have that capacity to remember everything. Okay, and may you be able to write them down when the time comes. Okay, all the best. See you in the next video. Bye.